Hello, dearest friends, and forgive us that we are late here, and that is the problem of always when we have this kind of continuous week, as here it is, so that to make absolutely working time schedule. But anyway, we are thinking of you, and we are welcoming all of you. And hopefully you have been able to follow our webinars and broadcasts. Still, this event is going on for tomorrow. So tomorrow, here in Europe, in the evening, we will then close the festival week. And if you do not have the links for these webinars and broadcasts, please let us know to BL and Michael Stacey, so we will make sure that you will get the schedules. Anyway, now we have been planning to have a very interesting idea, new group of observers and science of approach. Actually, DK has not been writing a lot at all. I think that maybe he is mentioning it once, and what book it is. I have here this. He says like this. Let me just find. This is in relationship to full moon. So perhaps some of you may get increased light upon the usefulness of the attempt if I tell you the interesting fact that at the time of the full moon, it is almost as if a door suddenly opened wide, which at other times stands closed. Through that door, ingress is possible. Through the door or opening, energies can be contacted, which are otherwise shut off. And through that door, approaches can be made to the planetary hierarchy and to reality, which are at other times not possible. In this statement, you have the root outlines of a science of approach, which has been little known up to the present time, even to advanced disciples, but which it is intended during the New Age to develop. It is a part of the true and emerging technique of the path. So we see here, this is 26, and but that's the question. Let me. No, I'm not reading from there. I have that. Let me see very soon. Just hold on. I'm searching this right now. So you will get the book. And it says zero results. Okay, I was putting it here. Perhaps some of you may get increased light. Gosh. Okay, you found it? Okay. So anyway, what do we read here is that, so this science of approach is related to how we approach to divinity. So that's why this science is, we can look that it is a modern and new science, because disciples or in humanity, there has not been any big amount of people who would be now starting to really consciously approach. And the science, we are using then those exact moments. For us, they can be very magical because they are only then available. As he is pointing out, the full moon is only then when the full moon is. And if we understand something about that, that there are many aspects about that, having the possibility for us, because the Devic life is responding always to what is happening. What we can say as above, what is happening above. It affects immediately. We can see that in a plant kingdom, there are plants which are closing their flowers when the sun is setting. When the sun is rising, they are opening. Even though there would be clouds, or even these flowers would be put into the dark room, they still follow. And that is telling us about this, that energies are facts. And it is very important for us to remember that however we want to fool ourselves, that it does not matter if I am not waking up during the full moon because I'm so tired and I have this and that. That's why I couldn't do that I will do afterwards. One can do this way, but it is not scientific, because these energies are just then, and we cannot, not yet, mix up from the ethers the similar energies. They are then pouring, and the divine life is then approaching. So we should approach the divinity. So there are these psychological aspects, there are these aspects which are affecting our consciousness, there are really physical, etheric aspects. So in coming years and in the future, and especially this group, which we call the new group of world servers, are those who has to learn to live scientifically. It also then will include our understanding about our charts. So we can say like this, that we are having a car, and we will go far, far somewhere where is only sand. So we don't drive with the car which cannot drive on the sand or in the snow or whatever. If we need to speed up, it has to be a car what is speeding up, not a tractor. So these are like the understanding that similar things are in energetic ways, that when we use our understanding and our clear mind to try to make these approaches the way that they really will have results. So this is not just hopeful or wishful thinking, it is just the fact how the Antakarana is built, how the group is building its own Antakarana in its approach. So there are many other kind of approaches. So we have full moon is very potent, very clear. There are, when you think about the whole year, for instance, this solstice time, the 7-year cycles, which is related to that time what we have now, the festival week. Then there are those cycles what Elena was talking about. All of those are this what we have to start to consider when we start to make our approach. And also I want to point out these 2 meditations by DK, the reappearance meditation, where you are in your imagination giving what you were saving, even though the money is changing in the world at this time. But those times when he was writing, we were dealing with the cash. And in that meditation, you are supposed to save consciously. You are supposed to have the meditation once a week. You are saving something consciously. Then after 1 week, you give that to Christ. And that target where you are directing your money can be whatever this kind of group, which is helping humanity, which is a group which is spiritually aligned with the masters and great ones. But you do that consciously. This is also science of approach. Yes.
Just a practical question. We have a fundraiser here. I donated every month to pay out the 7 letters. And I do it in a month. Are you saying you don't need to do it by week? Or
No. You can whenever this practical day is for you. But every week you have this meditation and you give in that meditation. Then the other one is the money meditation. Is actually I was talking money meditation, and then I was mixing this. And in reappearance meditation, you are the same way. You are doing this conscious approach every week. So using those that you are really clearly and consciously making your approaches with hierarchy and with the Christ. Then if we take oath within ourselves to keep those oaths, what was the impulse, maybe what was coming from the soul, and then we are obedient, that is approach. We have, I was mentioning the cycles, the rhythms. Then we have these cardinal points, the solstices, equinoxes. We have the new moon. So there are many things already that we know that you can link with yourself, and you can practically become the practical occultist. And in coming times, when this group is supposed to become more and more aware, we have been practicing with some of the groups at the moment during this festival week, and actually the means of nowadays, what you can use, the WhatsApp and whatever technical thing, is making us to be linked so easy together, so that in that sense the conscious approach is so much easier and actually so wonderful. And was there anything else? Anyway, that is because it is a science. That is one thing that we when we think about what it means like we are in our own laboratory, and we should mark down our insights, what we might get. And then there is another big approach, what I forgot, is this, that humanity and Deva kingdom are coming together. And what he says that 25, the fourth ray is starting to pour in, and Master Seraphis is preparing now this contact. So this is also one aspect of this work. So I think that is, Michael, what I was thinking to say. Maybe if there are any comments.
That's very good. Are there questions or comments on what Tuya has said thus far?
Well, there are different approaches, like in the externalization
Higher.
Of the hierarchy.
No, just voice. Upper. More voice.
I am speaking only for us here.
No.
Speak louder. My body is echoing. You have to make the mic change.
You're fine. You're not echoing. Yeah, it's just you got to speak a little louder. Is there any? Look, do you still have? Excuse me, Pamela. Do you have the webinar?
No, I lost the webinar. I actually lost the internet.
You lost?
Yes, I was in the process of trying to get the webinar back.
Okay, let me give you the webinar connection.
Well, I need to get my.
Do you have? It's a new link. Sorry.
I had it, Michael. I just dropped the internet.
I'll try again and try again. But Ellen, if you speak,
Well, I wouldn't want to speak because I just had a, I know when I read the book that I found there about the approaches, like the major approaches, like of the hierarchy of the
yeah, that's another way.
You know, so I don't have it in my head, the proper, you know, what I'm doing. I didn't know it.
Okay, that's fine. Well, you know, there are approaches to hierarchy, and there are approaches from hierarchy.
Yes, that's why I said
So,
different approaches. So one need to,
but they know just how to do it, and we're learning.
Yes.
So I would like to, okay, and let me ask, is there anything from the people that are assembled, about 30 people, and 30 something, anything that you want to say or ask? Here is Asha, and Asha, you're self-muted. Wait a second. No, hold on. You're self-muted, Asha. There you go.
I was just offering to give you feedback about sound if you needed, because you
No,
were asking
don't need it right
Pam.
now. Don't need it right now.
Okay, that's all.
We don't want to interrupt the
thank
flow
you.
of thought. Yeah. Okay. Now is there anybody else who wants to either write something which does not involve sound or to say something? I think we heard Asha quite well. Anybody that's on this would hear, and I think I can link you right here so that people speaking from out there can be heard on this machine. Okay? Anything you want to say about what Tuya said thus far? No. Okay, because I'm going to take it from a slightly different angle. Yep. Okay, thank you, Asha. We'll just try to keep the continuity best we can. Okay, so let me go over here to a chart which Tuya has, well, the debate made it, but Tuya has given us the correct colors. Now, test. Okay, test. And here we're going to make this a little bigger. Yep, on my machine. Okay, now you should hear me better. Okay, notice this is a picture of the egoic lotus and the antakarana. And approach is all about heightening the level of vibration of your consciousness and rising into fields of perception in which the general vibration is higher than the one you left. This is what approach is all about.
Michael, if I can interrupt briefly, on the internet, at least in my location and Kim Knight's location, we're seeing the final version of the schedule and not the egoic lotus.
They're seeing the final version of the schedule and not the egoic lotus.
And Asha Kerr says, I see no picture.
What do you see? Okay, hold on. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Now, I'm trying to think of where I was. This is audience view. I see what you mean. I see it. And I'm wondering why that is the case? Because right here, of course, we're seeing everything correctly. Okay, thank you, Michael. We're seeing everything correctly here. And let me just, sharing, show screen is paused. Okay, is that any better, Michael?
Thank you very much. Now the egoic lotus is there.
It's nice to have an egoic lotus. Okay, this picture is, of course, not the glory that DK talks about, but it displays approach and a triangular antikarana. Now that should cause some questions. A triangular antikarana. We definitely approach via the inner organ called the antikarana. And let's see here. I want to move this over. Notice where the science of approach will take you. You now see the big chart, chart 5, which is the most extensive chart that DK himself drew or had someone draw. And it takes you up onto the cosmic planes, and approach applies. The Christ and the Buddha are approaching the cosmic astral plane. Those on the 7 or 9 paths are approaching the cosmic astral or cosmic mental or even cosmic Buddhic planes. The planetary logoi are approaching still higher onto the cosmic Buddhic and beyond until we reach the cosmic monadic plane. All of that is way, 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 way beyond us. Okay? Just totally. What is our approach? Okay? What can we hope to approach, and how do we do it? Now, as Tuya already hinted, and Elena filled in, it is a complex process with many parts. There's approach to the higher and approach of the higher to the lower. Okay? Now I want to give you my impression of how approach operates and in what stages. Let's see. Here we go. When you are a Lemurian, and not all of us were, I don't know if there's any Lemurians here right now who actually came to the earliest of the root races, because a lot of people here are just simply the moon chainers. What was your approach? What did you want to achieve in terms of the refinement of your consciousness? Let's assume you were part of the Lemurian root race and you had reached the last sub-races of the Lemurian root race. In a way, it's very obvious, isn't it? You would want to achieve emotional sensitivity, because those early races, they had physicality of pedal number 1, and that's what was open for them. And even today, DK says, well, all human beings have at least one pedal open, or pretty far open. That may be it. Then along comes the emotional, religious, Atlantean, sentient sensitive impulse of pedal number 2. That's your approach. You're approaching pedal number 2. When you're an Atlantean and you've lived from 12 million years ago until 1 million years ago, let's say, if we want to be accurate, we can consult with Philip Lindsay, who's got a terrific historical handle on these things. And by the way, don't forget from Monadic Media, Justin, Wilkins, yeah, is working with Philip to present beautiful videos about the process. Okay? What's your next step? From subplane to subplane to subplane to subplane. And now you're focused maybe on the first subplane of the astral plane. What's next? Obviously, the lower mental plane. Okay. And there you go. Then you become a really intelligent person, and you're an integrated personality, and you may begin to be interested in something above the dotted line. You see the dotted line? Here. This is the big separator between the concrete mind and the place whereon the Temple of Solomon, egoic lotus causal body, is found, the higher mental plane, higher mind. All of us, that's where we are right now. Yes, dear.
So it is about the same thing what I'm
saying, because that is affected by those exact times when we have this building process. So the full moon times are affecting exactly to that building processes. I know it is correct.
Okay, you put yourself on mute when we're doing back and forth, okay? As a matter of fact, every time you have a full moon, you have a chance to build into your causal body new quality, new virtue, new strength to beautify and empower your causal body, which is largely a Jupiter-Venus process. And on it goes, and on it goes. Now, let's talk about what we can do. I just have to find where I was, don't I? And it's not there. Not here. No, I'm not there. I'm here, but I'm not really here.
You go chart.
Yeah, no, I know I'm looking for it because it's already
1, 2, 3, fifth over. There, you just passed over, right there.
Thank you. There. Thank you, Michael. Okay. Now you go into the arcane school or any decent, real esoteric school. Do they say, sit down, we're going to build the Antakarana? In a way, yes, in a way, no. Because you've been building the Antakarana since you've been rising in human evolution. That's all Antakarana. But now we're talking about the spiritual Antakarana. Okay, no, they don't say that. They say, okay, There's a higher self. There is the solar angel. It is from the cosmic astral plane. It is on the Buddhic plane. It sends its essence into your causal body or helps to build your causal body. It's called the angel of the presence. Now, your job, through the meditations we give you, starting maybe with the master in the heart, where between the shoulder blades and in the etheric body, about 3 inches in back of the spine, is a picture you form, right as it were in the middle of the heart center, either of the master for the more devoted types, or of your ideal self, either one. And you keep on cultivating that, making it more beautiful, making it more responsive. And what we discover eventually is that becomes not a picture, it becomes the master himself. So Tuya gave something on triangles today, and it was an inverted triangle, inverted. And at the bottom is the top of the head. And at the top, to the left is, I've got to figure that one out. To the left is the solar angel, or is it the Tibetan?
Well, it does not say which way.
Yeah, but it shows, okay. Or maybe you drew it that way.
I do.
Anyway, on the plane of higher mind is an image or a presence of the master, your master, or the one you are making application to, and the angel of the presence. Both are there.
Yeah, he is calling that soul.
Okay, yeah, but really, it's the angel of the presence. It's the center, just like the master is the center, and they both feed energy down into the whole apparatus. Now, when you meditate on the master in the heart, you're going to find your consciousness receptive to the higher mental plane. That's the very first step of approach, spiritual approach. You want to get above the dotted line. You see it. The dotted line separates the dense physical body of the planetary logos from his cosmic etheric body. You want to get into the cosmic etheric body of the planetary logos where things are really happening. You don't want to spend forever in the dense physical body left over from the moon chain and the previous solar system of the planetary logos. How do you do that? Master in the heart, you visualize relationship, particularly with your solar angel. You imagine the light of the angel presence coming down and infusing. You ask yourself a question, and you put that question up to the higher mental plane, and you wait, and then maybe the response will come. Your first task in the science of approach is to follow this line into the egoic lotus. This is the beginning. And the arcane school knows that, and they give you the method of doing that, linking the golden with the silver. Everything below the dotted line is silver. Everything above the dotted line is gold. You know what I mean? Sun and moon, right? Sun and moon. You're entering the solar realm. Now, some of you have been in the arcane school and may still be there. And you may remember the early days of meditation when you had to enter the influence of the higher mind. That's step one of the science of approach. Now, I'm talking about the individual science, or you can use it in a group, which refines your consciousness so you can receive higher vibrations and higher impressions. That's all I'm talking about. Now, DK says in Letters on Occult Meditation, you fail in your meditation. I found that interesting. You fail in your meditation. Why? Because you cannot center your consciousness in the egoic lotus. You cannot lift your consciousness into the higher mind. Thus, you fail. You meditate, and every once in a while you get a stream of energy. Just read the end of a treatise on white magic, chapter 1. Chapter 1 tells you all the nice things that the solar angel, or rather let's call it the angel of the presence, is sending to your personality. And the trouble is, we don't meditate enough and with enough regularity to receive the gifts. I find that very interesting. Our ideals, our higher aspirations. I'll show you. If I can find it quickly, I'll show you. If not, you go looking just like I had to do. Okay? So, treat on white magic. This is the end of, chapter. I guess it's not, okay. Let me just say it's page, I don't know, I'll just guess. Okay. Introductory remarks. Goodness. You know that the introductory remarks to a treatise on white magic was so complicated that the people who edited the book didn't know they had finished it and started repeating it all over again and just added to it. It was caught, of course. But I found that very interesting because if you study it, and by the way, I've done a lot of commentary on that, and you may find it useful. Okay. Well, it's one of those things. If you see me changing chapters up above, please alert me to that. This is a long, there it is, Rule 1.
Michael,
Yes.
if you click on the plus sign next to the title, it will open up the various chapters.
Okay. Plus sign, where is it? Up there?
Just to the left of the title of the book. Go down into all the book titles, and the plus sign.
Got it. Okay, that's Rule 1. So let's go to Rule 2. Okay. I'm just interested in Rule 2 because at the end of Rule 1, this comes in. Thank you, Michael. That's I want to discuss some of these things. Right here in this area you will find the important
Michael, the
5 o'clock mantra.
Yeah, and we would like to know, is it really sounding very bad when we leave our affairs?
Okay, well, let's not interrupt with that to you.
What does it mean?
Well, because all right, I tell you what, you do the 5 o'clock mantra.
Because it's loud.
That's good. And I will bow out of your way and
May the power of the one life pour through the group of all true servers. May the love of the one soul characterize the lives of all who seek to aid the great ones. May we fulfill our part in the one work through self-forgetfulness, harmlessness, and right speech. 1 minute silence. Thank you. And by the way, this is also about the approach.
everything about evolution is about approach. Now, I can't read everything, nor can I find everything. But here is something, and this has to do with how we receive soul influence. Remember, this was the book that DK really strongly recommended. This is a manual of discipleship. This is a manual on the control of the astral body. Apparently, disciples need that. Okay, it is perhaps well to remember that the stage of discipleship is in many ways the most difficult part of the entire ladder of evolution. That may surprise us, right? The solar angel is unceasingly in meditation deep. The solar angel is a downward gazing soul. The impulses of energy emanating from him, from it, whatever, are increasing in vibratory rate and becoming more powerful. The soul is concentrating on you as the personality. This energy is affecting more and more of the forms through which the soul is seeking expression endeavoring to control. Now, look, the words solar Petri, solar angel, angel of the presence, these are more cosmic fire words. So often in white magic, he just calls it soul, okay? All right, now, this brings me to a consideration of the seventh point I made in my earlier analysis of Rule 1. By the way, the entire astrology book is commented on page for page, word for word, paragraph for paragraph. The entire cosmic white magic book is commented on page for page, word for word, paragraph for paragraph. You have these resources at your disposal. Also, Cosmic Fire, the same thing. The first 1,100 pages are all written out in commentary. The last I'm very sorry. I've only been coughing for 50 years, ever since I had 6 cups of coffee in a row. But then, as a young man, I was demonstrating my motto, anything worth doing is worth overdoing. So thus it happened. Cosmic Fire is there, the last 100 pages, video. Okay, those 3 books are complete. And anything that I thought I could say about them is said. And if you wish to go further, you may find help. Okay, here we are. Now, this is very important. This brings me to consideration of the 7th point. I said, the soul's meditation is rhythmic and cyclic, as is all else in the cosmos. The soul breathes, and its form lives thereby. The rhythmic nature of the soul's meditation must not be overlooked in the life of the aspirant. Now think about that. He's giving us very big hints about how to be successful. Cannot overlook the rhythm of the soul's meditation. There is an ebb and a flow in all nature, and in the tides of the ocean, we have a wonderful picture of an eternal law. Now think of it. You're talking about your angel of the presence, your soul, having a relationship with you, the disciple, as a downward gazing soul. Okay? And as an aspirant adjusts himself to the tides of the soul life, he begins to realize that there is ever a flowing in, a vitalizing, and a stimulating, which is followed by a flowing out as sure and as inevitable as the immutable laws of force. This ebb and flow can be seen functioning in the processes of death and incarnation. It can also be seen over the entire process of a man's lives. Now look at this. This is really interesting. For some lives can be seen to be apparently static and uneventful, slow and inert from the angle of the soul's experience, whilst others are vibrant, full of experience and of growth And this should be remembered by you, all of you who are workers, when you seek to help others live rightly. Are they on the ebb, or are they being subjected to the flow of soul energy? Are they passing through a period of temporary quiescence preparatory to greater impulse and effort? Maybe it's a Libran period, gathering your forces for a Scorpio assertion. Okay, impulse and effort. And so the work to be done will be that of strengthening and stabilizing in order to enable them to stand in spiritual being. Or are they being subjected to a cyclic inflow of force? In this case, the worker must seek to aid the direction and utilization of the energy which, if misdirected, will eventuate in wrecked lives, but which, when wisely utilized, will produce full and fruitful service. And basically is saying, we don't give our soul a chance to contact us. Later he says that. We're so irregular in our meditation, in the timing of it, that we do not really give our soul the chance to permeate with its gifts. There are these, I think the word is, I can try it, okay? I can try it. It's rule one, and I'll just try to, how you recognize higher ideals, who knows? Maybe we find it. Maybe not. Higher planes. Well, suffice it to say, what comes to personality is really good stuff. And it lifts us up. But we have to give it a chance to do that. Now, I know a guy, he's a member of the Arcane School staff. I've known him as a friend for years. He's never missed a day's meditation. Over 40 years, 50 years. I believe him, he's honest. And he's just that seventh ray type of person. He will find the time. Okay. So that is what we have to begin to understand. I would definitely reread rule number one. Even if you don't want to go through the whole thing, it sets you up to know how you have to deal with your own higher self. And basically, we come back to what this is about. The first part of the Antikarana on the science of approach. Nothing too technical. There's a beautiful golden flower, you know. There's a wonderful higher power. There's something above you waiting to enter your normal consciousness. Are you open to it? Can you clear away the distraction? Can you get quiet enough? Can you be still enough? This is what the first part's all about, okay? But the second part is interesting, and not too many people achieve this. The ability, at least at first, to focus the consciousness inside the causal body. Now that's this part of the Antikarana in the science of approach. Your thought power is so filled with the higher mind. No, I'm going to say is important. It's so filled with the higher mind that you're able to approach the abstract mind. See, you, on your own thinking power, because you've lived a very full life of knowledge, of social responsibility, of sacrifice, you know a lot. And by what you know, you can approach the lowest level of the spiritual triad, which is the abstract mind. Okay, signs of approach. But finally, DK comes along with something really new. It's not, I mean, it's not new, it's new. It's the chelas in the inner groups have been doing this a long time, but it's new to us. Here are your words of power and your visualization. You gather all that energy from the soul. You gather all the energy from below, from the astral body, from the mental body. You circle it around the mental unit, and you project a line of vivid, radiant white light straight through that gathered energy until it reaches into the spiritual triad. Not all the way, because we're not there yet. And then, out will come the Father. He won't put on his house slippers. He'll just run out there because he's happy to see you. Okay, this is the story of the prodigal son. Okay? This is, constant. If you make enough of an effort along a line of return, you'll get a response right away from the place you are trying to reach. Now, that place where you both meet gets higher and higher and higher and higher as you go. Okay. In other words, you don't get very far at first. You project. You don't make it all the way to the Buddhic permanent atom. Why not? What do you think? Why don't you make it in your projection to the Buddhic permanent atom or to the atomic permanent atom? Why not? Here it is. Buddhic permanent atom, atomic permanent atom, projection here. And then touching, this is the best it can be drawn because obviously it's too high. Who can make it to the top two subplanes? Beyond the master. That's what he says. You have to be more than a master to enter the top two subplanes. And this is why he doesn't even tell you what's going on up there. He stops with subplane 3 in the world of Brahma, and does not tell you. And when you're a Chohan, you can make it. But then you won't need to. Okay, so you will have approached the monad. So, what did DK do? He came along and gave us a formula in the science of approach. I assert the fact. I see the greatest light. Purpose itself am I. I'm going 1, 2, 3, right? Number, you got that? 1, 2, purpose itself, line number 3. Number 4, 2 merge with 1. The 1 is already there. It doesn't make 2 plus 2 equal 1. It's something different. Number 5, very important. 3 minds unite. But which 3 minds? He says different things in different places. Remember, you're not supposed to have a mind that's filled with gears that you can't shift. Okay, number 6, the highest light controls. And number 7, the highest and the lowest meet. And you can just look this up on your Alice Bailey CD-ROM. Now, if you don't have the Alice Bailey CD-ROM, you're missing the best deal of the century for the esotericist. For $100, 120, sometimes less, you can get all the books together. How much?
Less than 60 euros.
Come down, has it? Wow. All right, it's in the 3rd incarnation. Now, if you don't have that, you are depriving yourself of 80% of the learning you could be doing. I really mean that. I don't know if you remember the days when the index was well, you know. It's not like that anymore. I had a friend. Notice how often I say I had a friend? Okay, anyway. I had a friend, and he jumped up and down when he learned there was going to be an Alice Bailey CD-ROM. Because, was it?
My husband also
did he? Okay. It really, it would be wonderful, right? And this story, unfortunately, has a sad ending. Are you ready? He gave up Alice Bailey. It's
I still use the paper. I love it.
Yeah. Well, you can do it. It's speed, efficiency.
Yes.
What DK says is organize for speed.
Yeah.
Organize for speed, or organizing for speed. Organize for speed. Why? Because the times are pressing. So, here he gives it to you. Any one of those words of power. And 2 colors. One for your personality and one for your soul. And that will take you from your normal personality elevation on the highest part of the lower mental plane, eventually to the monastic permanent atom. How many spirillae in the monastic permanent atom?
4.
How many spirillae in the mental unit?
No.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they are 7.
It's 7 altogether. You finally get a mind that's in one piece.
Okay.
So 3 spirillae in the monastic permanent atom and 4 spirillae in the mental unit, and you finally put it together. And you're exercising the science of approach. Now, how high have you gone? And me. How much of the mountain of vision, says the Tibetan, have you climbed for yourself? This is a question, because, the master, and then the whole Newton thing. If I seem to have accomplished more than many other men, it's because I have stood on the shoulders of giants. See, Newton was, I think, that's his statement, and he was being uncharacteristically humble. Interesting, Stephen Hawking was born on the same day as Newton, or it was the same day that Newton died. It was just, a very strong connection, obviously. And Newton, as you may know, was an alchemist and a mystic, in addition to being this super brilliant physicists who basically changed our access to laws. So look, we're all ascending. Is it over when we reach the monastic permanent atom? No. The Antikarana goes on and on. And eventually we'll have a greater command of the Buddhic, a greater command of the Atmic, and instead of just getting hit on the head by the monadic occasionally, we'll be right up there. Just like the Master Kutumi and the Chohans, and they're in the vehicle. That's their temple. The temple of Ezekiel. They're in that temple. Yes. Yeah. But a little louder, please.
Well, we end in Capricorn. The masters of wisdom end in Capricorn. The chance, when the spices,
yeah.
They arrive to Shambhala.
There's a statement in the famous rules. They are no longer men, as are the masters. The master is the five. He's Brahmic.
Yeah, that's what he said. It was it the other humanity only 5 initiations,
Yeah, that's it.
Why we master should we end up in Capricorn. So that's the 2 highest levels of the monadic and logoic planes are
Chohanic. They are Chohanic. Yes. They are Chohanic.
Yes.
And
they are primarily related to Shambhala.
Yes, yes. And they are the only truly esoteric planes out of the 7. The second and first are the esoteric planes. Everything else is Brahma. Shiva number 1, Vishnu number 2, Brahma 5 planes. Now look, let's be realistic. We're working in the world of Brahma, aren't we? We're there. We're not. We're just beginning. We're working in the world of Brahma. So here's the question for everybody. Where do you stand in your science of approach? Are you approaching it scientifically? Or is it just a little, Foster Bailey seems to have said, a little meditation as convenient, he said. He was always joking. He had a very strong Gemini ascendant. He was a Pisces. So I guess he had a sense of humor, And he oftentimes criticized the sincerity, the continuity, the application of our work. Otherwise, we just went along. We like to read the books. Yeah, they're great, and I learn a lot and all that. But where is the continuous application of what we're learning? Now look, 5 years remain. You want to be as helpful to human beings as you can be. You want to help people take in the great teaching so that they will be ready for the last installment of the threefold bridging treatises. And it's going to be something. You can imagine a lot of first ray. Blavatsky, third ray, the history of everything. Alice Bailey, obviously, second ray, psychology and everything. And then the next one, first ray. First ray. And the Tibetan can do that. He says, I have lots of first ray people in my ashram. And because I myself have lots of first ray in me. But when I talk about that, I mean on the triadal level. So immediately the reader goes, okay. So we'll learn more later. But if you want to learn about that, turn to page 176 and 177 in Cosmic Fire, and then you will see maybe, and I will see maybe what he's talking about. But this is basically what he's talking about. That's the chart. That's the chart that shows what's going on in the spiritual triad, which is between your monad and what you normally call your soul. And that's somewhere in there. He's got this first ray through which he can deal with first ray students. Look, I don't know what to say. It's serious business you've gotten yourself into. You may say, oh, well, just my studies, and I like reading these books. But when you enter far enough, you are challenged to really go all the way with it. You've chosen, like in the Bible, you've chosen a big plow, a heavy plow, and you're plowing the field. Some plows are easier to push than others, and some horses ahead of the plows are stronger than others. It's such a shameful thing when a person says, oh, I've had enough, let go of the handles, go backwards, in the mud. So hopefully we're forging ahead. And at this time of the new group of world servers, we take it so seriously that we should be members of that group. We should have our throat center quite active. We should have spiritual intelligence and mental illumination, the two great requirements for the second degree. We should be pushing on ahead until those things belong. And then later you can have what's called, I think it's called intuitive instinct for the third degree. Okay, look, it's a huge panorama. It's one of the great things about the Tibetan's teaching. It certainly beats a white robe and a harp and a lot of dull music, I'm sure. How people can be satisfied with so little. But when you push ahead too far, you're a threat. And then they try to get you, look what happened to Giordano Bruno. And by the way, the story goes that Annie Besant felt that she was Giordano Bruno. I personally do not think that's accurate. Bruno was a brilliant playwright and, satirist, and that's the trouble. He talked too much. He got himself in trouble because there were others who survived the Inquisition because they were tactful, but not him. He was accusing everybody. And so he got him, in the year 1600 when the Counter-Reformation began. So, you know, never underestimate the power of ignorance to want to attack new light. And look at, again, I gotta say, you're in it. If you follow the Bailey teaching and you really do what you should do with it, you're in danger. Now, do I say that, I'm trying to make this really appealing. I'm trying to say that it's not that the people are going to come with rakes and spades and torches to your front door. You know, French Revolution, all that. But I'm trying to say, you'll be singled out on the inside by those powers that war militantly against the aspirant. You'll be singled out to shut you up. Now, that's the two you talk about courage. Yes, she did. And that's one of the places where you really need it the most. Now, obviously, John the Baptist, he had courage. He was already an initiate of the second degree. The sign was Gemini. He was a good one, you know. And I think, sorry, and I think Pisces was always in the water, you know, and cleansing people. So look, you know, at this time of the new group of world servers, try to realize realistically what could be ahead of you. You know, really doing the master's work. What, you know, Master Mori, what's he always say? It is a joy to do the master's work. Page after page, it is a joy to do the master's work. And isn't it? Isn't it? And is there any performer of the master's work who has not realized the risks involved, finally? So think about it, because, you know, you don't want to be going along and whistling and saying, uh-oh, danger, gone. You don't want to do that. I'll show you something. I'm trying to help you become really attracted and encouraged by what lies ahead of you. Here's Fear, a treatise on the seven rays, using the violet flame to purify. A third class of fears. He says how to get rid of the first two. They're not too bad. Well, but here's a good one. A third class of fears which aspirants contact more and more as they grow in strength and usefulness in service is based on the realization of the forces that are working against the plan and hindering the work to be done. Occult attacks and occult powers warring militantly against the aspirant will occur. They may make their power felt in one or other of the vehicles, and in rare cases, where the aspirant is important enough, on all at once. Sometimes they will be attacks directed against the individual worker, sometimes against groups of workers. To counter them, You employ the first method. It involves white light, I think, and the following additions and changes. You link yourself up either as an individual or forming one of a group with your own soul with the Lodge of Masters. You link with the Lodge of Masters, not simply with your own master, but with the whole Lodge of Masters. But with the brotherhood for which you are working. Then, when stillness has been achieved, you visualize those masters of whom you know. You notice he didn't say those masters you know, those masters of whom you know. And raising your vibration higher still, signs of approach, you connect up, if possible, with the Chohans, with the Christ, and with the Manu, according to the line, religious or political, with which you may be working and along which the attack will come. I mean, let's be realistic. This is happening. The servers have to know this. You then pour through the linking chain and through all vehicles a stream of violet light. This method is only for use when the need is dire and the necessity great. You're not doing this for every day, right? The reason for this precaution lies in the etheric vehicle, which responds most violently to the color violet. So a lot of people use the violet flame, They have no idea what they're getting into. But DK is a cautious esotericist, and we are just students of esotericism. That's all we are. We're not esotericists yet. We're students. And we better be cautious students too, and realistic, de-glamorized, understanding ourselves with our limitations and our abilities. That's what we have to be. Are there any questions? He says that there's some, particular failures that we fear a lot. Fear of the future and fear of failure. Those are the two. Fear of the future and fear of failure. The doubt. There's a picture by Rurik. It's a saint. He's kneeling in prayer. He's very sincere. And at his ankle is a tiny little serpent, black, biting him. The serpent of doubt. Undetected, but still there. Can't you tell? I'm just trying to cheer you up, okay? This is my purpose here. I'm trying to introduce realism to what you find you're getting yourself into. And if every 7 years there can be these moments of realism, that's very good. Then we won't fool ourselves and be off on some glamour, some illusory misinterpretation. We'll know what we're into. Now, I wouldn't even ask you, are you willing? But you better ask yourself. See, maybe being here indicates you are willing. Maybe. And maybe not. So be realistic. Build the Antakarana. Make out of the triangle a straight line. Enter the spiritual triad. Eventually receive from the monad. Eventually become the five-pointed star as the master. Eventually enter the monadic temple of Ezekiel, and eventually fly free as the volatile essence into the sea of fire. That's the climax on our cosmic physical plane. Now, does it all seem too much? Like, well, I thought I was studying something. Now they expect something of me. What? Okay, you know what I mean? This is what lies behind what we are doing outwardly. These are the real things behind. So are we up to it? I ask myself that almost every day, especially when I'm staggering around the house, not able to breathe. You know, I have to find a way, and I will. And if obstacles hit you, you have to find a way to, whatever they are. I know some of you that you have found some ways. I don't know everybody, what your life is like, but I know some of you have found some ways to be stronger, to be more fit, to pass through, to be more useful. That's it. Now, if I actually look at who's left, it's not too bad. Could have been worse. It's always a big surprise. I'll tell you what.
And no one has written any questions, and no one has raised a hand that I am seeing at the present.
You are so clear and succinct. Now let me ask you, or ask everybody, is there anybody who has a statement about why courage is needed, how to apply the science of approach? I want to tell you something. I meant to mention this. You have to be so good at what you're doing, you become bored with it. Now, here's what I mean. When things are, there's nothing new here, I can do this. Then immediately the spirit starts lifting the whole perceptual apparatus onto a higher point of view, a higher point of view. And then in come the distractions, and you say what? Neti neti. Not this, not that, not this, not that. You get rid of it all until you can concentrate on the thing that it is. And then when you get really good at that, and it becomes old hat, up you go, until finally your whole perceptual apparatus is, and it's trillions of years ahead, is entirely identified with the universal locos. That's your destination. That's a pretty look at, we have this identity and the everything identity. We have both. Okay, now is there anybody here among the 30 or so that are assembled who would, hindrances to occult study? It's very good. I'll tell you what, Kim, just read a treatise on white magic. That's all. Or if you want a little help with it, listen to my videos about the subject. It's got about 150 videos, and it'll keep you busy for a while. I actually know somebody who's doing it. That means I can count one on one hand. Same with astrology. The same person went all the way through the astrology videos, 163 programs. You too. Whoa, we have a guest here, Vili, and he's among the crazy ones. Okay, good for you.
The timekeeper since 2 years now.
Yes. You know me, I could talk forever.
See, here she is.
But my wife is here suddenly.
I'm in the kitchen. I'm listening to that. You didn't notice my hands. That's why I was coming.
Oh, Tuya had something to say, and I didn't notice her hand.
I was just thinking, when we think about the scientific approach, that people must make aware, like Michael, doesn't happen sometimes.
Yeah, that would be good, dear. Come on.
Yeah, I am just thinking about that when we talk about scientific approach, that, and this is actually addressed to the astrologers, how one, when we think about the individual approach, how we could define using our charts these important moments or moments that we should recognize and that we could use. Did I ask enough clearly?
Maybe a little
Yeah.
clever.
I asked very clearly.
Okay. So someone who understood can answer.
You didn't understand. I understood.
I was busy bending your microphone. One more time, dear. See,
I am just asking.
This is what she has to live with.
I have to leave. So I am just asking the scientific approach that how an individual disciple should be considering the chart, or how one should be considering anything in one's own approach. We have those full moons and so those things, but individually, how we could use scientifically.
Mm-hmm.
So which aspects in the chart, planets, what it
Everything.
is. Of course, everything. But
Everything.
there has to be,
and page 340.
Michael, cannot be.
You got to carry
This
your
is
book.
a serious question.
And
Can you answer anything, Elena?
uh-oh. Not yet. Hold on, I'm serious too.
Yes.
Look here on page 340. Here are the 3 approaches to every initiation.
Well, I didn't mean that. I mean those moments in one's life, what to use. We know that it is full moon. We are using that as a tool. But as individual, you take your chart, what would be there, those moments, what would be a good to recognize?
Well, the good to recognize fundamentally is the Saturn return,
Okay.
which is conditioning the major stages in our life. Because Saturn is not only Lord of karma, because everything at the end is related to karma, but karma is, Saturn is also the planet of crisis in our life. There is the, how would I say, if we talking generally speaking, this is one of the important cycles.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking more like that when one would be making one's own method of meditation. Because this Saturn is too vast. I mean that like weekly, daily, what kinds of things one could consider.
It doesn't depend on where your chart is. It's development. I think so. Look I'll tell you what. When you have eclipses that are hitting important points in your chart, those are moments. When you have Saturn aspects, not just the return, but hitting important planets, that's important. When you have Uranus, the archetype, in other words, look at the chart and say, what does this tell me about my advancement now? It's different for...
I get my point now. I am thinking really, when we think about scientific living, it means the whole day.
and how you could find those moments. For instance, I'm thinking about my own meditative approach. How can I link them? Is there anything or is there not?
If you want to do it, you can get very meticulous.
I am very meticulous at the moment. Because I'm seriously thinking we are talking about scientific approach, meaning that we are scientifically building the Karana. So it means the quality of the energies that we should be building into our.
It's a system that we need.
Yeah.
And the
and
system.
That's what I'm asking.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what. I think it needs investigation. I don't think you can give one answer. I do know that the positions and the aspects are very, very
so,
important.
Thinking about Sol and Venus, would it be to follow Venus?
That's one of the ways. Venus is the angel of the presence. It's going to tell you something. Look, when you have what Peter calls a helicosm, you've got a conjunction of Venus with your sun. This is a very luminous possibility. When you're looking for times when the personality is going to act up, look for Mars, look for its relationship to the moon. In other words, basically what you're saying is follow your chart every day.
That is my point, yeah. Because that is one particular gift, what we can say from God, that's the map for yourself.
If I follow Master DK advice for esoteric astrology, before I even look at the chart, astrology chart, I need to know the person. And knowing person is a psychology. And what is psychology? Esoteric psychology, database. So what I need to establish is a soul ray and personality ray of the person or of myself. Okay? Because around those energies, I start to interpret the chart.
Yeah, I mean that everyone of us.
I am speaking now for.
Or you want a general system.
Okay. I'm just asking because it just came to my mind when I was listening that, yeah, would there be, or there should be, and there is, I'm very sure of that if we think about the principle of hormone or any important moments, the same ways there are particular individual moments, and that is what Egyptians were talking. They were talking about the serpents in fire. Yes. And that's why their astrology was so advanced as well, because it was related to that person, the secret pattern, what is in everyone's chart.
And if I follow what I just said, in relation to the soul ray, I look where is the esoteric rule of the ascendant, and what does it do with the rest of the chart. And in relation to the personality ray, I look at the sun and its aspects. Then I look at the moon. You see, there is this fundamental triangle energy here with the Saturn which I already said. But there is, you see, many people, they look at the chart and say, what should I look at? Where do I start? You know, they don't know what to do.
I'm not talking about other people.
No.
Oh, so you're going to get the first ray now.
You have to just focus on the reality of the thing. There is never only one thing.
That's right.
And when I know what energy I need to find for the person who is sitting in front of me, and I don't see it immediately by any aspect or whatever, and I know I must find it, So what do I do personally?
Okay, I will define my question now because I understand what you say, but it is not satisfying me. It is about that. The ancient wisdom tells, Egyptian wisdom,
Yes.
was telling about how it is about thought, which thought is about Mercury, and it was related to words and letters, which are holy. And those moments when the serpent spit fire were the initiatory moments, how particular energy was influencing this particular individual. And that individual was supposed to announce, use the throat center, and announce, meaning that taking these energies into flesh. So that's why what I'm thinking, it is the most important as in some moment, time, become to be so aware that understanding how how the movement is happening in the constellations and these energies are pouring in, they are hitting here and there our chart.
Yes.
So this means about what I say about the scientific approach, because it is individual, and then we should be aware of those moments and take it in, because they are not general. And I was thinking, what are your ideas? Would be those to, for instance, follow? And if that one thing was about the Venus,
take the cosmology into it.
Exactly.
Okay, what is in the heaven, the constellation, the stars, and everything.
Mm-hmm. So that is about vast question. Yes. So I finish here. That was my point.
And another thing is, Mercury and Venus in the chart indicate how our mind works, and we're never of that mind. We deal with in relation to, let's say, myself, to yourself, and so on. Because everywhere we have a concrete mind, higher mind, transcendental mind, we have active mind, we have different levels of mind.
But I mean only individual. I don't mean that the person goes to the astrologer.
No.
It is that how every one of us could take our chart, what to follow, what moments to recognize. So my idea, suggestion was about Venus.
There is always, before any important event in our life, there is always two things happening.
Sure.
One after the other.
Sure.
Wesak, full moon, new moon, and eclipses. Okay? These are the signs. They have ever been the signs of important events.
You said Wesak, full moon, and you said a third one. Important events. New moon.
Yes.
Look, I want to add one thing: the intuition.
Oh.
Okay, there's 10,000 variables.
Yes.
But the thing about the intuition is it goes zing and picks out the thing that is most important. So like in your case, you have a good intuition. And you would sit with your chart, you'd brood over it, you'd enter the intuitive field, zing. See, to try to find the same system for everybody might be difficult. And remember one other thing, please, let me add. Not all times of life are equally important.
That's right. Yeah. But the thing is that during the one day, the whole zodiac has been turning. And that's why it is more about the daily approach than any those that we have full moons or my Saturn return. They are too vast.
So you got to watch
cycles.
the moon, the fast-moving planets. You've got to watch where the ascendant is because it's moving fast. You have to look at those things. I discovered when I was really interested in this approach, that I was so detailed in my analysis, I didn't have any time to live.
I don't mean that either.
No, but no. Anyway,
okay, thank you.
It didn't satisfy me.
No, well, at least you're getting a little demonstration of the first phrase. Okay, there's no one way. There are systems, but there's no one way. And sometimes you look at your chart and it hits you immediately, and other times you're just pondering and nothing comes. Don't try to find one particular way that's going to be revelatory. It depends on who you are, okay? But if you really want to sit down the whole day and watch that ascendant move, I knew, okay, very quick. Sabian symbols, 360 degrees of pictures. They go to coffee houses with a clock. They sit there, have their coffee, and they listen. And they know when every degree comes up on the ascendant, and they wait for the conversation to change. See, that's very interesting. Is the energy different? They test it. Is it really different? And high-level astrologers have done this. High level. Okay, now, that's probably it. It better be it. Tonight at 10:15 our time, 8:15 anybody's time, GMT, we have the next discussion. Won't be long. Won't be long. A lot of people have left different places, and we'll be discussing to a certain extent among ourselves, but very happy to have everybody come. All right, I think this has been a learning experience here, very revelatory in many ways. Now we go on to the 8:15 GMT time, 10:15. Basically, it's another 4 hours. And I'm sure that we've had quite a demanding day, and we'll be happy to have a little rest. When I say rest, I just mean relief of the mind, and then we'll talk about the esoteric United Nations and how we could do that. How we could do that. Is it presumptuous? Is it pretentious? Is it helpful? Is it doable? What can we do? Okay, Michael and BL, and all who have attended, very grateful to you for being here. And if you want to come tonight, we'll be talking about the esoteric United Nations. So, this week has passed quickly. And basically, we've spent our 7 days. But there's a little bit tomorrow that makes the 8th day. Okay. Creation only had 7 days, but here and on the 8th day, the astrologers created an unworkable system. Okay. Very good. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. And we'll see you if you show up. If you show up. And let's see, is it a webinar? Yes, it is. Wait a second. Internet, yeah, it's a webinar. Okay. Okay. Bye-bye.